It's about 10 o'clock on day 1 of Booktubeathon, and I thought I'd give you a little update as to where I'm up to on my TBR. So I've managed about 13 pages of Gemma Alone by Mel Stratfield, which is my book for reading entirely outdoors. I read this at the bus stop after work. There's not often a lot of time before work because buses are quite frequent, but I have to catch a specific one home most of the time, so I do wait around a little bit. So that's 13 pages, and it's not a very long book, so that's a decent start. It's just over a chapter basically. So yeah, that's the start of Gemma Alone by Mel Stratfield. Now I have actually finished an entire book. I finished Jane Austen's Lady Susan. I think the challenge, this was just the extra one for the read 7 books. But yeah, I finished it already, so technically I can, even though it's not the book I picked, I can tick off the read a book in one day. But yes, so I really quite enjoyed this. It was written when Jane Austen was about 17, so some of the spelling and grammar is a bit difficult to read. But it was still very amusing. It was fluffy. It was amusing. It was a bit of a giggle, and it was completely ridiculous. It's told entirely through letters, and yeah, it's basically the story of this woman, Lady Susan, who is basically a minx. She's widowed. She's got a daughter. She wants to marry a certain person. She's carrying on a flirtation with a married man. And she's now gone to stay with her brother-in-law and his wife, who can't stand her, and decides that she's going to bring her sister-in-law's her brother under her spell as well. And then her daughter arrives, and her daughter's fallen in love with said brother, and it's all this big ridiculous shenanigans where she's a conniving minx and everyone around her is either completely under her spell or thinks she's terrible, and so it's just this story told by letters, and it's a drama, but it was really fun, so I was really pleased with that. Now, while I have a set TBR for Booktubeathon, as it turns out, I got an email this morning telling me that my library book, The Women in Black by Madeline St. John, is actually due back on Thursday. Apparently it was only a 2-week loan because there's this rule at the library where if something's got a lot of holds on it, then it's a shorter loan and you can't renew it. And because this was a hold I picked up myself, since I finished off a book already today, I thought I'd pick it up because I had plenty of time left. And I am already up to chapter 24, although when I say chapter 24, some of these chapters are like 2 pages. But still, I'm over 100 pages into it. And I'm really enjoying it, so I will probably continue reading this tonight and see how far I can get. So this is technically an 8th book for the week, and not actually on my TBR, but because I have to give it back to the library, I would like to actually get through it, and I'm really enjoying it. I picked it up. It's not my kind of thing because it's sort of I won't say it's a contemporary, but yeah, it's based in the 1950s in Sydney, and it's basically a story about a bunch of women who work in the cocktail frock section of a department store, and just the way that their lives intersect with each other as they're working for this department store in the lead up to the Christmas and New Year holidays. But the reason that I put it on hold was because there's been a musical made out of it called Ladies in Black, which is, the music is done by Tim Finn of Crowded House and Split Enz fame. And so I went to see the musical earlier this year when I was in Canberra, and I absolutely loved it. I haven't had such an amazing experience at the theatre for a long time. And so I thought I'd like to read the book that it's based on. And so far, it's pretty much as amusing as the musical was. So I keep falling into giggles over it, and yeah, there's a little bit of difference in the characterization, mostly because, of course, in a book you can actually see the character's thoughts. But it's, it's fun. It's about ordinary women doing ordinary things. And it's just, yeah, really funny to read. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'll hopefully get through that this week before I have to take it back. And that's probably a longer update than I expected to do. So I will hopefully see you for another update tomorrow. I probably won't read a lot tomorrow because I have choir practice, but we'll see how I go. I'll try and fit some in at least. Bye. Hey, it's just gone 10 o'clock in the evening on day 2 of Booktubeathon. Yeah, I've not had quite as much progress today, but still have made some progress. So I haven't picked up Gemma Alone, my outdoors book, again because unfortunately today I arrived at the bus stop twice just as the bus was arriving, so I didn't have time. Last night I actually finished my bonus book, The Women in Black by Madeline St. John. This is not the copy that I read. I've taken the library copy back, but I enjoyed this book so much. I immediately went out today and bought a copy of myself in my lunch break because I can see myself rereading this over and over and over again. It was so funny, and I just loved it. So I have finished this, so I have now officially finished 2 books during Booktubeathon. Even one was slightly unexpected. And this evening I didn't go to choir because my cough is getting worse again and I didn't really want to be singing. And I'm not really in a great reading mood today, but I have started volume 2 of Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon by Naoki Takeuchi. This, if I'm remembering correctly, was the book I selected for read about a character that is not like you very much, because really Sailor Moon is a princess, as I've just discovered. Well, I kind of knew because I remember the anime from my childhood, but yeah, I'm 140 odd pages in, so I will probably will actually finish this tonight. Maybe, we'll see how in the mood I am to read the rest of it, but it's a very quick read because it's a manga. So yeah, that's what I've read so far on day 2. I'm doing pretty well, having, over 2.5 books down already, and I will check in again tomorrow. Bye. Hey folks, it's evening day 3 of Booktubeathon, and this is a little update on my progress. I've only read a couple more pages of Gemma Alone by Noel Streatfeild because again, I just didn't have time before buses arrived. I'm actually considering taking one of my little clip-on reading lamps with me tomorrow, and then I can, read while I walk home from the bus perhaps. We'll see how I go, but yes, so I have not made much progress on that. Last night I did finish off Sailor Moon Volume 2 by Naoki Takeuchi. This was really enjoyable, really fun, really easy to read, and quite nostalgic, particularly because I picked up some twists because I remembered the anime from when I was a kid. So that was my 3rd book finished, which is really good. So I am actually ahead of schedule. This evening I started reading The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a bit of an uncomfortable read. It's because it's very much a very clear sort of interpretation of an exploration of colonialism and the damage that colonialism and colonial attitudes do to the areas, and in this case planet, that they are colonising into the native people, the First Peoples. So particularly with Australia's own bad history with our native people, I shouldn't use the words native, sorry, I'm not feeling well and so my brain's a bit blur, but our Indigenous peoples. Sorry. Also, because I'm reading this, I've been reading the word native, which means it's in my head, which is unfortunate, but is proof of what the book's about and what the book's talking about, and the conscious and the unconscious damage that a colony does to its native peoples. And my light's just gone off, so I will sign off now and go and plug it in so that it recharges, and I will see you again tomorrow for day 4. Hey, it's Thursday, which is day 4 of the Booktubeathon, and I finished another book and I read a little bit more of another one. So I did actually manage to read a little bit more of Gemma Alone, probably a chapter and a half, something like that. So I am continuing to make progress, but I'm probably going to have to spend some time sitting outside a cafe, hopefully with some hot chocolate on the weekend, to finish it off, in order to reach my challenge of reading an entire book outside. But I'm still making slow progress, so that's good. And the only other thing I read today was I finished off Ursula K. Le Guin's The Word for World is Forest. This book was for my challenge to read a book that I bought because of the cover. The cover itself isn't my favourite cover, but I bought it this particular edition because it was an SF masterwork, and I like the way they look as a kind of a series of classic science fiction. So technically that was how it looked. It was the cover. So yes. So I finished this. It's a very good book. Obviously, it's Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's won the Hugo Award. I found it very difficult. I have some hot button issues when it comes to colonialism, and it is a very blunt exploration of colonialism. The end was very sad, very poignant, even though it ended with the Indigenous people having won the right basically to their own country. They did it in a way that changed who they are as a people and not necessarily for the better. So yeah, like I said, sad and poignant. But that's finished now, so I have now finished 4 books this week, and I have made progress on another one, and there are 3 more sitting on my TBR for me to read tomorrow and probably mostly on the weekend. So yeah, I'm probably not going to read any more tonight because I am very tired. I had a very long day and I've got another very early start tomorrow, so I will check in tomorrow night. Bye. Hey folks, it's me again. It's just past 10 on Sunday evening, which means there's only a couple of hours of the readathon of Booktubeathon left, but I probably won't read any more or finish anything more at least. So I had some changes from my TBR, and I haven't updated the last couple of days because I've been a little bit unwell. But I have, I believe, achieved all the challenges. So, yay! Those are the books that I've read this week. So I started off the week by reading this book, which was my bonus one for the read 7 books, and that is Jane Austen's Lady Susan. I really enjoyed this. As I said previously in the video, it's quite fluffy and sweet and just ridiculous. And romantic and everything, so yeah, really enjoyed that. Then, as I mentioned later in the week, I picked up The Women in Black, which wasn't technically on my to read pile, but it was due back to the library, which I've sent that actual copy back and just bought my own copy because I loved it so much. This is a book I can see rereading another one, and it's going to sit in for the challenge to read a book in one day. Because, I mean, there are lots of books that I read in one day, but yeah, this particular one, I didn't end up reading what I originally selected for that particular challenge, which was the short story collection. That's the only book that I haven't actually picked up this week. And so, yeah, Madeline St. John, The Women in Black, I read it all in one day. And like I said, I described the book earlier in this video. Then I read volume 2 of Sailor Moon by Naoki Taguchi, and this was for the challenge to read a character that is very much not like me, because Sailor Moon is really, really not like me. I think I'm a little bit more sensible and a little less romantic than she is. But yes, so that was that challenge. And then I read Ursula Le Guin's The Word for World is Forest, which was my reader book that you bought because of the cover. Really good book, but really challenging for me, particularly due to the stuff about colonialism, because I have some hot button issues about colonialism. But yes, that was Ursula K. Le Guin's The Word for World is Forest, and that was my read a book I bought because of the cover. So that's 4 books. Then I read Gemma Alone by Nell Streatfeld. This was my read a book outside. I was reading it during the week a little bit, but then on Saturday I took it to a cafe, had some brunch and read sitting outside of the cafe and finished it off. So this is the third book of the Gemma series by Nell Streatfeld. It's a children's book series that I absolutely loved as a kid, and it took me a long time to actually find secondhand copies of them because it's out of print. But in this particular one, Gemma is going to a new school. It's a drama school, and then her mother gets her a role in a TV series that she's not really sure that she wants to do. So she's away from her cousins and her aunt and uncle, which is where she spent the last 2 books. So yeah, so that was a good read, and I love rereading that so much that I couldn't help myself. That was my book outside. And so on Saturday evening I picked up the final book in the series, Goodbye Gemma by Nell Streatfeld. And this will be taking the place of what I was originally going to read for the person on the cover. So there she is, there's Gemma. So this is the 4th Gemma book, and she's back at her drama school and, you know, back with her cousins and her aunt and uncle, and she gets the role of Juliet in the local university production because they don't have anyone. And so there's all sorts of drama around that, and her cousin Anne is getting a recording career, and Lydia's having more drama around her dancing because she does. But yes, this particular series, the Gemma series by Nell Streatfeld, is about a girl, Gemma, who has been a child actress, and her mother's an actress, and her mother gets a role in a TV series in America, but she doesn't want to take her daughter with her, so she leaves her in England with her older sister, her Aunt Alice, and their Uncle Philip and their children, who live ordinary lives. And Gemma has to try and fit in an ordinary town. So that's what that series is. So this was going to count as my person with a book with a person on the cover. So that is 6, and today I finally sat down and I read this one, Down Among Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire. I've been really looking forward to this, and I've actually had it since the day before it was released. I bought it at the book launch down in Melbourne, and this is my signed copy. Yeah, and this is the second in her series about the children who go away, her fairy tales sort of series about children who go away and then come back to fairyland. So this is technically a prequel to the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, and this is the story of Jack and Jill, who are in Every Heart a Doorway, and how they grew up and how they disappeared to their version of, I suppose, fairyland. But it's not really fairyland, but a portal world, I guess, which was the moors, and how they developed and grew apart, and then how they were forced to leave the moors, and how they were changed by that experience. So this is really good. I possibly didn't love it as much as Every Heart a Doorway, but I think I rated it 4 on Goodreads, but I probably would have rated it 4.5 stars if Goodreads had that. So it's still really good. It's wonderful Seanan McGuire stuff. There's a lesbian relationship, and there's, you know, it's a story about twins. It doesn't really go how you would expect a story about twins to go. And there's a very strong authorial voice as well. But I really enjoyed it. So that was my 7th book, and that was for the challenge reader hyped book, because in my circle anyway, Seanan's books tend to be quite hyped, particularly this series. So yeah, so that was my 7th book. And I have at least started one of the other books that was originally on my TBR, and that is Brothers Ruin by Emma Newman, which was my original choice for person on the cover, but I haven't finished it, and I probably won't finish it tonight. I'm only 60 pages in, and it's good, but I'm just not in the mood for it. Yeah, so I started it at least. So the only one that I didn't pick up at all, again, was the short story collection. So that was my reading for the Booktubeathon for 2017. I really enjoyed my first time participating in Booktubeathon, and I'm kind of glad I ended up picking up an extra book earlier in the week and then another extra book yesterday, because otherwise I may not have made it, because I've been in a bit of a mood. So, but yes, I read the 7 books and started another one. so, and I made all the challenges. So yeah, please hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.